is, I'm standing here with a mighty soldier. He go by the name of Tahaka Bey.
He go by the name of Tahaka Bey.
He go by the name of Tahaka Bey. He go by the name of Tahaka Bey. This brother right here, what I love about my brother Tahaka is that he don't just roll over like some of the Moors we know. You know, we bang on them and they just roll over and say, you know, I ain't deal with that. Tahaka Bey, he bangs back. Tahaka Bey, he bangs back. He fights back. And that's what I respect. And that's what I respect.
And that's what I respect.
And that's what I respect. And that's what I respect.
Over 1 million dead bodies buried by your Greek and black Egyptian friends. In the sands of Egypt. Don't do no PowerPoint about Moors. You got enough dirt, filth, and crap in your front yard, in your house, and in your backyard to deal with. Don't worry about the Moors. You better worry about what's going on in that land you're claiming. They tried to alter the female rulership in Kemet because they did not want people to think that a sister, a woman, was able to rule. But they left the image of Alexander the Great alone. His today is untouched.
But we know we have seen Setta. He will go off in a minute, but he hasn't had that. Can you just tell us the history of you and Setta in part, and then let me lead into my next question. Just the history of you and Setta. I rise giving praise to the great God of the universe, Allah. I give honor to his universal illustrious prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I give honor to everything that pertains to Moorish. Let's get straight from the Big Apple, NYC, here in Baltimore, Maryland. He's here to give his portion here on Moorish World TV. Now, if y'all don't know about this brother, you must have been under a rock somewhere. So as I always say, I'm going to move that rock and we're going to make that rock the head cornerstone, and then we're going to build on out and build up perpendicular. Brother Roy Bey has stood on the front line for many years representing the Moors on 125th with our brother Setta for Setta TV, Black News 102, etc., etc. Y'all heard it all. I don't got to go into the whole resume. But what I need to touch on is how my brother stood on the front line for the last few years and representing the Moors when the Moors was not represented in such a light where we seem to be defending our prophet in a good way. So when the brother came to 125th, when I first seen the brother on 125th, from that time forward, I was looking forward for the next video to see my brother on the camera. Well, as of late, we haven't seen our brothers on the camera, but we seen them. Hold up. We did see him on the camera with Setta, and he was schooling Setta. You know, he was schooling the brother. And so now we have the pleasure and the honor to have him here on a Moorish American Muslim platform, Moorish World TV. Like I said, if you don't remember the brother, I want you to do like my brother Loaded Lux say, you know, the battle rap. Well, peace out, Loaded. He said, check the file. Check the file. Go on Black News 102, go on Setta TV and check the file. The brother stood and stands on the front line in the defense of our prophet. Now, I don't want to go on and on because I'm going to let the brother's words build himself up because he really don't need an introduction. This is my brother, my big brother from the NYC, brother Roy Bey. Islam, Muslim.
Islam, brother. All praises due to Allah. Great hallmark card of an opening statement, if I might say. I rise to my highest heights. I give praise to Allah, the great God of the universe, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible, the universal governor of this world seen and worlds that are unseen. I give honors to all true and divine prophets, to wit, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius. I give honors to Marcus Mosiah Garvey, harbinger and forerunner to the prophet, who did indeed warn and stir up the nations. I give honors to all national, state, and local officials, to all sheiks and sheikesses, to all grand governors of this Moorish divine and national movement. I give honors to my brother Tahaka Bey for putting together such an illustrious platform where Moors can come speak, express their portions of understanding without fear of prejudice, being attacked, or fear of biasness. This is our platform, and we should use this platform and take advantage of it positively to further express our portion of understanding and even advance the cause for the upliftment of fallen humanity. I give honors to the most honorable and illustrious Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the man who cracked the atom on our consciousness in North America, the man who taught us things that were beneficial when we knew not, the man who first visited Kemet, the man who first introduced consciousness to a community at a time when it was not called the House of Consciousness. I give honors to my prophet, the honorable prophet and illustrious noble Drew Ali, the last prophet of these days and times, sent to redeem man, and I do mean redeem man from his sinful and fallen ways. Brothers and sisters, I am pleased and honored to be here in this mighty, powerful city of Baltimore with my brother Tahaka Bey. Islam, more.
Islam, more.
Yes, indeed, family.
Well, I want to pose one question. I want to address to start this. I want to try to clear up some of the foolishness. And as the intro came in, I was talking about that if you don't know him, you may have seen him on 125th. Excuse me, talking about my brother Roy Bey. So when people see you talking with Setta, some people view Setta as the enemy of the Moors. You know, some people view him as an antagonizer of the Moors. Some of them view him as one who just have it out for the Moors. But you have a way to deal with Setta, and I noticed that he doesn't disrespect you or come at you sideways, and nor do you come at him sideways or disrespect him, because we know that wouldn't be Moorish character, for number one. Number two, but we know we have seen Setta, he will go off in a minute, but he hasn't had that with you. Can you just tell us the history of you and Setta in part? And then let me lead into my next question. Just the history of you and Setta. When did you meet Setta, and how did y'all develop this communication where you are able to communicate and respect each other as brothers and difference of opinion?
Thank you, brother. You know, a lot of Moors tend to wonder how this established relationship between myself and brother Setta came about. I don't know, about 10 years ago, something like that, you know. And, you know, brother Setta, his zodiac is an Aries. Mine is a Libra. In fact, about it, my birthday was just yesterday. You know, I'm still young, strong, and handsome. I'm 43 years of age, looking all out gorgeous. God bless you, Roy. God bless you, brother. Keep up the good work, more. Yeah, but, you know, according to what is written in the stars, Libras and Aries, they coincide pretty well. And he knows, and I know we have differences of views, but for some natural reason, we have always set aside that and maintain a high level of respect with our relations, you know. Setta has went at a lot of people, not just the Moors first and foremost. The Hebrews, he's went at some of his own black power crew, right? But I know the Moors and him have been a hot topic because we represent that which is diametrically opposed to the platform in which he stands on, black power. We don't subscribe to the tenements of such thinking. We have awesome relationships. He has allowed me to come up in his circle that he founded, to be the head of his security, to secure many of his events. And I don't know, man, we just had great relations. Now, for the Moors out there who cannot comprehend this, let me say to the Moors, Wherever you see black people, quote unquote, gathered, I want the Moors to pay close attention. Wherever Negroes, blacks, coloreds, Afro-Americans, African-Americans are gathered, you better believe that's a place where you want to be. Because that's the place, Moors, where your prophet would have been. See, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he would never walk by a crowd like the ones that Setta holds without trying to reach his people. So it's to my thinking that before you proclaim nationality, if Noble Drew Ali would have walked right by you as a black man, you wouldn't be here today. And that's an actual fact. He could have just said, hey man, forget him. I'm not going to waste time with him. But the prophet, being divinely ordained on the first principle of love, he loved us enough that he sought to reach us by the method of redemption. And my dealings in the conscious community is no different. It's hard for me to just walk by so many of us when I say, man, if I could just reach one of them, just one of them, I'll take some hits along the way, but that's all right. That's okay. And today, I won't go into the details, but since I've been out there in the conscious community, 3 people have joined this movement. I would have never said it if Brother Taharka didn't ask the question. 3 people have came into this movement. 2 brothers and 1 sister. I think that's an honorable work. We look just to get 1. But we can get 1, 2, and 3 who came into the movement because of what they saw Brother Roy Bay out there doing. That's a good look. So the conscious community is significant, and it makes our job a little easier because we know so-called black folk are going to be gathered at these events where roundtable topics and discussions are to be held. They may be controversy and highly passionate, but that's all right. This is how our people learn. This is how they receive the information. And we need to have at least 1 more. Multiple mores will be better. But 1 more, it might not be a complete start. A complete finish, but it's a darn good start. And it just so happens that it appears as if those I naturally fit into that element. And so I'm always talking to our brothers, our sisters, communicating with them in hopes to get them to see the value. Remember that value I talked about with Brother Marcus. Once I can get them to see the value based on my portion of understanding of how significant, relevant, and important Noble Drew Ali is to our people's condition in North America, maybe I could be working on my 4th one and bringing them to the movement. So yes, Setta knows, and I know, we don't disrespect each other. We have our differences off camera, and there have been times when he said things to me and I've said things to him. I call him, if I think Setta's out of line, Setta will tell you, I call him on the phone and check him at the gate quick. Recently, we had an incident in New York City where one of our esteemed brothers, Brother Sankofa, he made some comments about the prophet. Now, as a Moorish American Muslim, those comments did not sit well with me. But when I saw the footage, the first thing I did, I got Sankofa on the phone. So listen, brother, let me tell you something. Y'all making it hard for me to stand with y'all. That comment that you made about Noble Drew Ali is unacceptable. I'm urging and suggesting that you make a speedy recovery and redeem yourself with an apology to our people, in particular the Moors. And he recognized as a man who made a mistake. And shout out to Brother Sankofa. I appreciate the sincerity of what you did. You said you was going to do it, and you held fast, and you kept your word. He went out there, and with the same passion that he condemned our prophet, he also made the level of apology in the same manner. most people wouldn't even done that damn much. They would have just said, left it as that, F this how we talk, forget this, I ain't doing this. And we would have just been with that. So, you know, the apology was able to come across because of my relations with the House of Consciousness in Setta. Sankofa is the spokesperson for the House of Consciousness. I am the head of security. Setta, you know, he's the founder, so he sits at the seat of being the boss in terms of when I deal with him on that level. Sankofa, he works under me when we are doing security details for venues, functions, and events. And outside of that, there are times when he can override me and I work for him because he's the spokesperson. If he says, Brother Roy Bay, don't say X, Y, and Z, with respect to the chain of command, that's what I follow because we do have a respectful relations with each other. Setta told me this here. He said, if you ever became elevated in that movement, he said, I promise you, brother, there will never be another foul word spoken on my platform about the Moors. He said, I will never record it or post it. And that was out of respect for myself because of the relationships I have established with him. He does not mean any harm to the Moors. He loves the Moors. He likes the Moors. It's just that he doesn't know how to receive our message. And so when he asked me about the updating of the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, if those teachings need to be updated, and I said yes and no. I didn't say, well, excuse me, when you hear my full answer, I'm not saying, yeah, Drew Ali's teachings got to be updated. I don't agree with so-and-so. That's not what I said. People have a way of twisting words around. What I meant was it has to be updated to where the way we as Moors deliver that message of black according to science, meaning death, because our people are emotional and very sensitive. And even though it may be true, we just have to find a better formula to present it to them so that they may not be as offended at the outstart, but at the end of things, they will have a better comprehension of what black according to science, meaning death, really means. And then I said, oh, and for the record, do I think Drew Ali's teachings need to be updated? Hell no. Heck no. For those out there who thought I meant that, if I felt Noble Drew Ali's teachings need to be updated, on the day I start to contemplate that thinking, rest assured, I'm going to turn in my nationality card, turn in my Moorish American button, and I'm going to cease wearing my fez, and I will return to the state where the prophet found me. If I ever start to think that the teachings of Drew Ali need to be updated, I'm a stupid fool in stark contrast to the wisdom of Drew Ali. I am not smarter than my prophet. I'm a student of my prophet. What he did in 1911, 1912, 1913, what he did 6 billion times fold, and we still cannot do what he did in the early part of the 19th century. Do you know, this is what gets me. You know, everyone has something to say about Noble Drew Ali's teachings, notwithstanding the kind of mentality you would have had to do the work that he did and to redeem a lost people. I want you, brothers and sisters, to think back at the educational level of our people in 1913, 1911, because really the temple was founded in 1913 AD, but the work was being done to establish it even before that. So think back into the early part of the 19th century. Who amongst us was thinking like Noble Drew Ali? Who? No disrespect to our ancestors, to our brothers and our sisters who've gone on to the realm of the ancestors, but Dr. Ben wasn't a thought nowhere. Dr. Ben wasn't on scene. Rest in peace. I love my brother John Henry Clark. John Clark wasn't here. Amos N. Wilson, Del Jones out of Philly, peace be upon him, the war correspondent, he wasn't here. It was Noble Drew Ali, one deep by himself.
What'd you say more?
One deep by himself. And Marcus Mosiah Garvey's thing, we give honors to that, because Garvey was here too. But the prophet was still one deep by himself, because the prophet had the science. He had a knowledge that Marcus didn't have. However, some of the Garveyite movement went to the prophet. They said, hey man, we got more people than y'all. That's how it is now. That's why I told Setta just recently, y'all got more numbers than we do, and we need y'all numbers. However, the prophet only responded in his divine wisdom. He told the Garveyite movement at one time, yeah, y'all got more numbers than we do, but we gonna be here longer than y'all. And 103 years later, consistent, in spite of our trials and tribulations as Moorish Americans, you look up and 100 years later, we are still here. The children of Drew Ali are still coming home to their prophet. We are still here. And whether you agree with our platform or not, give us the honor, the credit, and the respect for maintaining our line of existence to the degree that we have. We're getting stronger, by the way. You could blink your eyes out there if you want to. The Moors are on the move. And the Moors are getting more and more serious by the day. So I have good relations, and I'm proud to say, with my brother Setta. I'm not going to denounce him, because I can check Setta on the camera and off the camera, and he will listen. Sometimes if I'm not on scene, he get, now listen, brothers and sisters, if I was there that day when those demonstrations were taking place, when Setta said what he said and Sankofa said, believe me, they would have never said that in the presence of Roy Bay. They would have never said that. However, I got to go back now, because I got to make sure these things don't persist. And it ain't just with Sankofa or Setta. There's a lot of anti-Drew Ali folk out there. See, the Moors, we have to have the bases loaded on every aspect of the field. First, second, third, fourth, until we can bring it home, right? So you say, well, Brother Roy Bay, ain't no need for you being out there. That's a lie. Wherever the Asiatics are, it's a need for us to be out there. Because see, if we can't be amongst the Asiatics, then how are we going to fulfill our role in uplifting fallen humanity? If you can't be amongst the Asiatics, then how are you going to, how should I say this? How are they going to come to know what it is that you've come to know? You got to be active, not passive. Activism is being on the grassroots level, working. My brother built a beautiful temple here. This is activism. This is being active, not passive. This is grassroots work in the community, where the brothers and sisters here in Baltimore can come and hear the life-giving teachings of the honorable and the illustrious Prophet Noble Drew Ali. This is grassroots work, a part of it, though it is far more extensive than this. So we got to work. And the prophet said there's work for all to be done. Working is just not making your temple meetings. See, that's a requirement as it relates to your membership. But working is way outside the temple. Real work is done outside the temple. And shame on you. Shame on you who are Moors, who would look upon your people and say, they ain't never going to get it. How dare you give up hope and lose faith, hope on your people, and lose faith in your people now that you think you have arrived? You just a baby in this science. Roy is a baby. Tahaka's a baby. We still learning. And compared to the wisdom of the prophet, we don't know nothing. But our portion that we do know, we are willing to give it to you free of charge. You ain't got to sign on no dotted line and pay financial aid for this. This is free. The European going to charge you. I'm going to tell you right now. We got it free for you. Just come on and get it. And so the work got to be done. So if you lose faith, losing faith in your people by saying they'll never get it, it's the same as saying you lost faith in your prophet. Because if you lose faith in your people, you're saying you don't believe your prophet's teachings could work for them like it worked for you. So you might as well just turn on your car, your button, and cease wearing your feather turban and return to the state where the prophet found you. I'm not going to lose faith in my people because my prophet never lost faith in me. That's why I'm here talking to you now. You see? I'm here for a multitude of reasons, having this nice fireside chat discussion with my Moorish peers and the viewership of the illustrious Moorish World platform. So we have to continue to go to wherever this so-called conscious community thing is found, wherever so-called black folk are. Reach out to them. Demonstrate your portion based on your understanding of things. And hopefully one day, we just might get Setta to come into the temple, proclaim his nationality, get involved with his birthrights. Because Setta, we working on you too, brother. That's why I'm standing right beside you. Ultimately, I intend to bring you on this side. If I get you on this side, I'm going to get your people to come. And one day you going to come. Don't tell me it ain't possible for Setta to come on this side. Because look at the condition and state Malcolm Little was in before he heard the teachings. Malcolm Little was a full-blown nigger. He was a full-blown nigger. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, crimes. Everything about his culture at that time was the lowest of the low. But then he heard something one day that some lights began to go off, and then he made a change. And from Malcolm Little being a full-blown nigger, he later became Malcolm X, the one who you like and love for teaching similar to these. And from Malcolm X, he became El Hajj Malik El Shabazz Omawali. See? So don't tell me that the teachings of Drew Ali can't resurrect a brother like Setta. Don't tell me it can't resurrect a Sarah Suit and Seti. Don't tell me it can't resurrect, you know, the young brothers out there. Oh, and by the way, Brother Shaka Amos, Islam Moor. And I'm calling you a Moor because you are a Moor. Islam, Brother Shaka Amos. You know, you already got one foot inside the temple. That is physically evident. You walk around here, you never got a fez on, but you got your tassel on 24/7. So Islam to you on that, Shaka Amos. You know what I'm saying? And we working on you too, brother. We understand that you caught up in idol worship and things you see. See, Moors don't worship things they see. We have a saying inside our Holy Quran. And that saying is that the sun is Allah's most noblest image. Worship it not. The Prophet taught us worship and praise is only for Allah, not for physical things in the universe. But when we try to emulate certain things of ancient times, that's a form of worship. I wonder what some of our brothers think about Upper Egypt, where they wore the white crown. Huh? The white crown. Now, that had nothing to do with the so-called white man, as the white man lives in your mind. But the white crown represents status. Status. That's what the Moors talk about today. When they say white mean purity, purity mean God, and God is the ruler of the land, guess what? That's similar to that white crown that them so-called black pharaohs wore in ancient Kemet. So the ancient scientists and Moorish scientists really don't differ but so much, other than bits and pieces of languages here. We're not referring to the so-called white man as you know him, but we are making reference to, in fact, you know what, speaking of this, I got some papers right here. I took some notes. I recently saw some footage that Brother Shaka Amos was talking about. He says, we've never been a monolithic people. We have been many different people at the same time. Well, brother, if you do the history about our people, the reality is what you're talking about is a bloodline. Moors have been known in history by different names, but the bloodline has always been the same. They've been known by different names at different points in times and histories based on the culture who was identifying them. And that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Because truth of the matter is, you know, I don't understand how they can tell us we're not Moors and say that some Europeans called us Moors. I asked the question, if you're supposed to be a scholar on the subject of Egypt, why do you keep making reference to Kemet as Egypt when Egypt is a Greek name? Had nothing to do with the original pharaohs of the day. Those original pharaohs never knew that land to be called Egypt. That land became known as Egypt when Alexander the Great came in and did his little butt kicking over there. Because, let me go into some of that right quick, all right? Let me go back. Once upon a time, the Persian military was the strongest military on the face of the earth, right? Persia of that day is equivalent to America of this day. And Persia, she bullied a lot of nations. In particular, two main nations. She bullied Greece and she bullied Kemet. At a time when the Kemetic military was beginning to fall, Persia was at its peak in military might. And the Greeks fought many wars with the Persian military. They lost many wars. It wasn't until a young military genius, and I say that respectfully because he was that, his name was Megas. The world knows him today as Alexander the Great. Megas Alexander became the Great when he had the fight with the Persian military on the battlefield of Arbela. And he won that war. And when he won that war, he started to move around certain areas. And what the Greeks would do in that day and time when they won wars, those who, the men who they did not kill off, they would offer them a chance to live. And that was to say, look, I'm going to let you live, but you got to join us now. That's a wise tactic. Alexander the Great got that tactic from Hannibal. That was Hannibal, the Carthaginian. Hannibal, the Moor who you say we sold out. Hannibal, he used that military tactic. And this is how he was able to expand his armies. Alexander got that tactic from Hannibal. And when he went all through the world, India and so forth, when he came, oh, by the way, I'm not to give this European too much credit because he went to the Empire of Kush. And when he lined his Greek army up at the Empire of Kush, the place you call Egypt today, Egypt was the daughter child of the Kushite Empire. Egypt depended on the Empire of Kush for 133 years for economic reasons. And she was watching the Greeks for so long. And when the Greeks showed up on the shores of the Empire of Kush, they had some bad sisters over there in that day and time, Brother Tahaka Bey. These sisters was gangsters, something like the sisters who used to give protection to Muammar Gaddafi. And these sisters were called the Candace sisters. And they knew that this Greek was coming. And when he arrived, they was already prepared for him. And they put a quick spanking on him. And the Europeans don't tell his story in history that this great military general, Alexander the Great, Megas Alexander the Great, he got whooped by what today they would call some black women. He got whooped, and the Greeks was quickly pushed out of the Empire of Kush. They turned heels, kicked up dust, ran the other way, and ain't been back since. So they moved on Kemet. But when they got to Egypt, the quote-unquote Egyptians, as you call them, they were so happy that the Persian military had been smashed and destroyed. Let me tell you what the black Kemites did. Alexander the Great didn't have to fight no battle over there. They put the white crown of Pharaoh on the so-called white man's head.
And we sold out. But those
Hold up. I want it to marinate.
Yeah.
Let me repeat it for you. They put the white crown of Pharaoh on Megas Alexander the Great's head. Like you see my fez on my head that the prophet put on me. They put the white crown on Megas Alexander the Great. Made him the first European to become Pharaoh in ancient black Egypt. But you call us sellouts? The Moors? Are you kidding me? I think you better go back into that Kemetic study. You better go back into that Kemetic study. When he became Pharaoh, he had his generals with him, his, step down men, who were ruthless. The Ptolemies. You know about the Ptolemaic era, that dynasty that lasted damn near 300 years in Kemet, took over black Egypt. Moors wasn't there. Took over black Egypt by way of so-called black people. Made Egypt today a Greek society. But the Moors are race traders? It ain't the Moors over there now in Kemet. Got it all screwed up. It's the people you let in. The Greeks came in. The Arabs came in. The Romans came in. Man, the dynasty thing, as Nas told Jay-Z, the dynasty is dying nasty. Because once you let them in, you gave them the whole kingdom. Moors didn't do that to y'all. Y'all did that to y'all. That was the first form of quote-unquote black-on-black crime. When you put the white man in charge of your kingdom. But you want to say we got something going on with us and we ain't, people worthy. But it ain't over. It ain't over. Not only did that happen, they had a problem with Queen Hatshepsut. Queen Hatshepsut, she was the first sister to become queen of ancient Kemet. You could only imagine the disdain and the jealousy and the envy they had for that sister in that day and time, far more greater or equivalent to the same jealousy, envy that Europeans in North America have for President Obama and Michelle and her beautiful daughters who now sleep and reside inside the quote-unquote White House. It's the same thing back then. It was even more harder for Queen Hatshepsut because she had to physically alter her appearance to look like a man. What a bunch of male chauvinistics. Your sister caught hell under you. I'm talking to the Kemetic community. Your sister caught hell, but you put the white man in charge, didn't you? You go to Kemet right now, all of you who say you took trips to Kemet, and how many times you been with Dr. Ben and Ashwar Quasi. When you go back over to Kemet, you take the pictures. I already got them. I don't need them. But for the people's sake, you take the pictures that shows the image of Queen Hatshepsut. Look at what the Kemetic Egyptian brothers did to their own woman. They destroyed her image the day she died or the day after she died. They tried to alter the female rulership in Kemet because they did not want people to think that a sister, a woman, was able to rule. But they left the image of Alexander the Great is untouched. If he got a scar on his monument in Egypt, is due to bad weather. Ain't near brother who hollering about all this pharaonic stuff touched his image. Ain't none of these brothers here from the United States of America who went to Kemet laid a hand on Alexander the Great's monument. If you was really about that Kemetic talk, you should have took the damn head off Alexander the Great in Egypt. But you're not about that. But you want to throw shots at us and call us race traitors. Right now, you can Google it. I know how y'all love Google today. You can Google it. Right now, in the sands of Kemet, they have excavated bodies. Some are Greek, some are Roman, some are Arabs, mainly African bodies of so-called black people. Over 1 million dead bodies buried by your Greek and black Egyptian friends. In the sands of Egypt. Don't do no PowerPoint about Moors. You got enough dirt, filth, and crap in your front yard, in your house, and in your backyard to deal with. Don't worry about the Moors. Wow. You better worry about what's going on in that land you claiming. See? Do the research about these black bodies. They say they brought some of the bodies up and even showed some of the pictures. They brought some of the bodies up of a young baby girl still in that form that they buried her in, and they identify her as a young child because she had baby toys in her hand. Black power. Talk to me. That's what you say, right? Go over there and holler black power, since you want to claim it so much. Go over there and set up shop. You say, well, Islam is not really our thing. Islam is not set to a particular culture. If you understood Islam, some of the principles of it, it's about peace in this lifetime. That belongs to all of us. But you don't like Islam. But Islam is running Egypt today. Black power ain't running Egypt today. Islam is running Kemet today, baby. Listen, I'm not vouching for them Arabs over there. But Islam, when Brother Polite went there, he sat down and spoke to some people who were Islamic on, I forget the nature, I think it was during the time of the Hebrew debate. But he sat down, right,
there was
right.
a time with the European Jewish debate. No. It was,
Nah,
it was the time.
the Hebrews, I think it was.
Hold up.
That was the Hebrews, right?
It was the time that he was debating.
Not see one of them brothers? I forget who it was. But anyway, nonetheless, though.
Because they said he'd never been to Egypt.
Right, exactly. And by the way, man, Polite did awesome in that. But nonetheless, though, he went over there and he was talking to Muslims in Kemet. I want to know, what kind of marching did my brothers in the RBG do in Egypt when they got there? What kind of front line was they on? We appreciate y'all trip and travel. We respect that because we need to navigate globally once more. No doubt about it. But your navigation should not impede on us to call us race traitors when you bought the European and Kemet. None of y'all talk about that out there. I wonder why. You're supposed to have studied all this stuff. See? The Moors didn't bring Alexander. Did you know this bastard was, this guy was wicked. He's a killer. He was a world killer. And you brought him in, put him on top of the pedestal, and told him he was a god? You told this European male that he was a god? I would be ashamed today to walk around. Now listen, brothers and sisters, we have all done things in our people's past. We all know about the Moors' involvement in certain things, the ancient Moors, who was involved with a lot of things. Some of it was good, some of it was bad. We make no secret about that. We still got to move on in the future. But I say that to point out to you that the history of Kemet is not all that glorifying. Y'all get caught up in the pyramids. Y'all get caught up in, you know, the temple of Hetcheru and the large monuments, because what you see over there looks bigger than your mind. So you start to worship it because you think it's so great you can't find ways to keep up with what you're looking at. But it was the mind that built it all, right? So when you're looking at us as Moors, as Moorish Americans, give us our props and our respect, because a lot of that history was able to be preserved because we had that information. We was given permission to settle there at one time. And we came in with a knowledge, and we learned while we was there. And when the Moors made their exodus out of Kemet, they took that same knowledge they came in with and the knowledge they had procured while being there, went not too far across the water, went into Spain and did a butt kicking for 800 years. And truth of the matter is, they altered so much history in Kemet. Even those of you who say you are scholars and you read this book, by the time you got to this story 3,000, 4,000 years later, you ain't got but a drop in a bucket. So my brother Larry, he's right when he says at some point in time, the Moors exited the record books. At some point in time, to a degree, we did, but so did you. Why did we exit the record books? Because history is told by the conqueror. And the conqueror was not going to write well of us in history, even though they knew well of us. So history being told by the conqueror, it appeared as if though we was written out of history. And we was up until 1913.
I'm standing here with a mighty soldier. He go by the name of Tahaka Bey.
He go by the name of Tahaka Bey.
He go by the name of Tahaka Bey. He go by the name of Tahaka Bey. This brother right here, what I love about my brother Tahaka is that he don't just roll over like some of the Moors we know. You know, we bang on them and they just roll over and say, you know, I ain't deal with that. Tahaka Bey, he bangs back. Tahaka Bey, he bangs back. He fights back. And that's what I respect. And that's what I respect.
And that's what I respect.
And that's what I respect. And that's what I respect.